Just imagine what if I told you that a simple $quarter, the kind that is often lying in your pocket drawer or an old box at home, has sold at auction for as much as $25,000. Yes, you heard that right. That same amount equals over 6.9 million Pakistani rupees, and in Indian currency you can see the live conversion above, meaning just one small coin could be worth hundreds of thousands in your local money. The most surprising part is that coins like these are often sitting in our homes, but we ignore them because we think they are just 25 cents today on USA Old Coins. I am going to show you two valuable quarters that will truly shock you, and there is a real chance one of them could already be in your collection. So make sure you watch this video until the very end, and if you have any old quarters, drop a comment below. I personally check and reply. If you enjoy discovering hidden coin values like this, do not forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, be sure to like and share. Now let us start the video. Now let's begin with the 1970 to $quarter. The 1970 to $quarter may look completely ordinary at first glance. If you pick it up in your hand, you might think it is just a simple coin that was used in everyday transactions. It features the portrait of George Washington on the front and the eagle design on the reverse. But the real story begins when we take a closer look at this coin, because not every 1970 to $quarter is ordinary. Some special versions have proven to be very valuable to collectors. First, let's understand a little background. The 1970 to $quarter was produced by the United States Mint at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint has its own mint mark. At that time, Philadelphia coins generally did not carry a mint mark. Denver coins have a D mint mark, and San Francisco coins carry an S. This is where the story becomes interesting, because production, quality, and mintage numbers varied from mint to mint. In 1972, millions of quarters were struck. Because of this, many people assume the coin can never be rare. However, in the world of coin collecting, quantity alone does not determine value. Condition is extremely important. If a 1970 to $quarter is found in true mint state condition, meaning it has no visible wear, retains its original luster, and was never heavily circulated, its value can increase dramatically. And especially MS-67 have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. Some near perfect MS-67 graded 1972 quarters have created intense bidding wars between serious collectors. When two determined buyers compete for a top quality coin, the price can rise very quickly. One such high grade example sold for several $1,000s, which is astonishing considering its face value is only 25 cents. Now let's talk about errors. Coin errors have always attracted strong interest from collectors. The 1970 to $quarter is known to have some rare mint errors, including double die errors, off-center strikes, and clip planchet errors. A double die occurs when the design is struck more than once slightly misaligned, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled. If you examine the lettering near Washington's portrait with a magnifying glass, you may sometimes notice slight doubling. This small detail alone can significantly increase the coin's value. An off-center strike error occurs when the coin's design is not centered at all and is instead shifted to one side. These coins appear visually very unique and are highly sought after by collectors. If an off-center strike ranges from 10% to 50%, and the date is still visible, its demand increases significantly. Similarly, a clip planchet error happens when a portion of the coin is missing due to a technical issue while cutting the blank metal sheet. These are all manufacturing mistakes, but for collectors, they become treasures. Now let's talk about silver content. Most 1970 2/4 were made with a clad composition, meaning a copper-nickel mix. However, the San Francisco Mint also produced some proof coins for collector sets. Proof coins are struck with specially polished eyes and have a mirror-like finish. If you have a 1972 proof quarter with deep peak chemu contrast, its value can be far higher than a normal circulated coin. Understanding condition is extremely important. Coin soy 70, where 70 represents a perfect coin. If you have a 1972 quarter that looks completely fresh with no visible wear, you can send it to a professional grading service, such as PCGS or NGC. Professional grading confirms the coin is healthy and stabilizes its market value. Graded coins also sell at auctions with much greater trust and reliability. Now imagine you find a 1970 2/4 in some old box at home and you've never examined it closely. It could be a high-grade piece or contain a rare error. People often clean their coins thinking it will increase shine and value. But in reality, cleaning can actually reduce a coin's value. Collectors always prefer the natural original surface. Auction records show that 1970 2/4 in exceptional condition have achieved thousands of dollars, especially when they are in top population grades. A population report indicates how many coins exist in that specific grade. If a coin is graded MS67 and only a few pieces exist in that grade, it automatically becomes rare, even if millions were minted. Market demand is also an important factor. Sometimes a coin's value increases simply because collectors' interest in that series is high at the time. Washington quarters are a very popular segment in American numismatics. So high-grade examples command strong prices. So how can you identify whether your 1970 2/4 is valuable or not? First, check the mint mark. Then examine the coin under good lighting. Check the luster to see if the surface retains its natural shine. Inspect the edges for any unusual cuts or shapes. Use a magnifying glass to examine the lettering and date for any doubling. If the coin appears unusual, set it aside and show it to an expert. Here's another interesting point. Sometimes collectors engage in coin roll hunting. They get rolls of quarters from banks and check them for rare dates and errors. Many valuable coins have been discovered this way, which means there's still a chance today to find a rare piece in circulation. Our goal at USA Old Coins is to educate you so that you can recognize the true value of the coins in your home. Every 1970 2/4 may be in someone's possession, but not every 1970 2/4 is valuable. Only those pieces in exceptional condition or containing rare errors have significant moment. Now let's move forward and take a closer look at the 1977 quarter dollar. At first glance, this coin may seem completely ordinary. Just another quarter quietly sitting in your collection or forgotten in a drawer. But imagine if I told you that within this small coin lies a story worth thousands of dollars to collectors. The 1977 coins hide their secrets in very subtle ways. A tiny irregularity in the strike, aiming mark you might overlook, or a proof coin with a mirror-like surface that reflects light like liquid silver. Collectors know that the San Francisco proof coins from 1977 are among the most desirable, not because of how many were made, but because of the meticulous craftsmanship and deep cameo contrast. Then there are the rare errors, off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, and even double die patterns that can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a true treasure. Even the smallest flaw can exponentially increase a coin's value if it is authentic and in high-grade condition. So how do you uncover these hidden secrets? Examine the coin carefully under bright light. Inspect the edges for any irregularities. Observe the surface luster. And use a magnifying glass to check the lead airing and date for anomalies. Dimik menos Philadelphia no mind dirty. Or San Francisco S could be the key to discovering if your coin is truly rare. And if something looks unusual, sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC can confirm its authenticity and reveal its hidden market value. Imagine holding a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, but could secretly be one of the rarest examples from 1977. Every shadow, every tiny detail tells a story that could make your coin invaluable. So as we wrap up this journey through history and hidden value, remember, not all treasure is buried underground. Sometimes it's quietly waiting in your pocket, drawer, or forgotten collection. Inspect carefully, pay attention to every detail, and who knows? Your 1977 quarter dollar could be a hidden gem.